Wait, what? What? Your body feels out of balance. You got brain fog. Your memory is going away. Your energy is crushed. You're gaining weight. You don't know what the heck is going on anymore. You feel inflamed. You're cranky. You're irritable. You're not sleeping. Stay tuned and learn how you can shift it all. Welcome to True Wellness with Dr. D, the podcast where we explore what it takes to live with vitality, balance, and purpose. I am Dr. D, and each week I'll bring you powerful tools, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you thrive in every area of your life. From health and wellness to mindset and navigating life's challenges, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of true well-being. Be sure to check the show notes and grab your free copy of the True Wellness Checklist so you can get started on your journey to true wellness right away. Now, let's get started. Hello, everybody. If you're listening to this right now, well, chances are that you've probably had at least one moment, whether it be like this week or maybe this morning, where you've stopped yourself in your tracks and you thought, oh my goodness, what's happening to me? Why am I so tired? Why don't I feel like myself anymore? Maybe you've been trying to power through your days like the way that you're used to, but everything starts to feel heavier. Maybe it's your energy, your mood, your body, your sleep, your clarity, even your drive. And here's the point that no one usually lets you in on, right? These things, they're not random and they're not just hormones. I know that's a big topic nowadays. They're not just aging and you're not having some strange, personality change. And it's not because you've just kind of let go of yourself, okay? So there is real biological change, energetic and neurological reasons why women over 40 will suddenly feel like their bodies are becoming more unreliable. And today we're going to dismantle the illusions around it. We've got a lot to cover. So you're going to understand exactly what's happening, why every doctor keeps telling you that, oh, your labs are normal, why every diet seems to stop working, and why your body isn't really responding the way it used to. And the deeper hidden causes, honestly, that no one in conventional medicine is talking about. So by the time our podcast is over today, you'll understand your body in an entirely new way, one that maybe most practitioners have never explained to you. So you'll have the language to understand what it is exactly that you've been living, and you'll have a pathway forward. So because your exhaustion, it has a cause. Your weight fluctuations, they have a cause. Your anxiety spikes, your sleep issues, your inflammation, your brain fog, your cravings, all of it, they all have a cause. And it all begins with something I like to call bioenergetic coherence. And, before we go there, let's just start with where you are. Okay. So I know a lot of women come into my practice and they're like, I don't recognize myself anymore. And, I see this happen over and over and over again. And we've got, high functioning, brilliant, responsible women, people who have built careers and families and lives, and they jump onto Zoom with me and they try to explain something that's happening that they can barely put into words. They say things like, I'm doing everything I know I've always done, but I feel awful. Or they say, I can't focus. My motivation has disappeared. Or they say, I'm gaining weight in places that I've never gained weight before. Or I sleep, but I wake up exhausted. Or they don't sleep, right? Or my mood feels unpredictable. Or I want to feel like myself again, but I don't even know where to start. And these women, they're not being dramatic, they're not overreacting, and they're usually terrified, they're scared because they can feel that something in their body is changing and no one's validating it. And what makes it even worse is that maybe they go to their doctor or they have a full blood work up, the blood work comes back and the doctor says like the sentence that infuriates I think every woman everywhere: oh, everything looks normal. And you're like, normal? What? How can everything be normal? Because you're like barely getting through your day. So, how can it be normal when your body feels foreign, or when you feel disconnected for yourself, or when you're in survival instead of actually living? And it's it's enough to make any woman question her own sanity. We do it all the time, but here's the truth. Normal labs do not actually mean that there is a normal body. They mean no one is looking in the right place. And in labs, it's kind of like, if you think about electricity, right? The labs are measuring the light bulbs. They're not measuring the actual electrical wiring that's going on in your body. And that's where the real breakdown begins. So, I mean, I'll tell you, there was, a period in my own life. I was very real, right? Very raw period where I was pushing my body far beyond what was actually reasonable for any human being. And I remember I started just ignoring every signal my body was sending. But you know what happened, right? My body started to shut down. Symptoms started to get louder. I mean, not dramatically in one moment, but slowly but surely over time, quietly. And then all of a sudden, that quiet got louder and louder and louder. And that pain didn't make sense. The fatigue that sleep couldn't fix, or a nervous system that felt like it was losing its ability to buffer, right? Where you're just like flying off the handle, getting angry. It was a level of internal disconnection that really felt like I was observing my life instead of living it. And you know what? Uh, all the labs were normal, and as the sentence mean, you're fine. This is in your head. You're overreacting. But no, it wasn't. Right? I wasn't overreacting, and I'm sure neither are you if you're dealing with this as you're listening to this. So you guys, my crash is the reason I teach this. I teach it now. It's the reason I've built the True Wellness framework. It's the reason that I've created the Bioenergetic Coherence. Okay. Because feeling not yourself is not a mystery. It's actually a pattern, a predictable, measurable, fixable pattern. So let's decode it. Let's spend this time together today to really start to understand. So here's where we begin. When a woman hits her 30s, 40s, 50s, her biology actually starts to shift. And it's not just that she's aging, because, I mean, her communication systems, what happens is they become stressed, they become overloaded, they become misaligned. And there's three systems that really keep our body functioning as one coherent, intelligent whole. There's the biology, right? I'm going to put hormones and metabolism and inflammation, digestion into that category. Then number two would be like your energy. That's your mitochondrial output, your cellular voltage, so to speak, your more subtle energy fields. And then there's number three, which is your nervous system, right? That's your stress response, your trauma patterns, your emotional regulation. And when these three symptoms like start to get wonky and fall out of sync, then your body, starts to go astray. When they are in sync, you feel clear, you feel steady, you feel energized, you feel predictable. But when they're out of sync, it's like your body becomes inconsistent. So you get fatigue, you get weight gain, you get brain fog, you get anxiety, you get inflammation, you get sleepless nights, you get cravings, you get mood swings, you get digestive chaos, hormonal chaos. But here's the one part that no one has probably said out loud to you, and that is that your symptoms aren't the problem. What's happening is those symptoms are signals because your system is out of coherence. Your wires are frayed. The signal is distorted. Communication, it's delayed. It's not taking place the way it's supposed to. And your body is literally doing the best it possibly can with bad instructions. Because your body, you guys, it's always looking out for your highest and best interest. Always, even if we don't like the way it actually shows up. So this is why, like, a woman could meditate daily and still have inflammation, or eat really clean but still gain weight, or take supplements and still feel exhausted, or sleep 8 hours and still wake up tired, or exercise and still feel puffy or depleted, or have perfect labs, right? But still feel really awful. So it's it's because the inputs might be fine, but the communication system is not. So if that communication system isn't working, then things are not aligning the way that they should. And this is the missing conversation. So this is why many women over 40 feel almost like blindsided by their own biology. And this is what bioenergetic coherence actually fixes. So before we talk solutions, I want you to understand the 3 levels of breakdown, okay? Because I think once you see this, right, you'll never blame your body again, right? And you'll finally start to understand, like, what your body's been telling you all this time. So let's dive into them. So number one, like I said, level one is that biological breakdown. That's when your hormones fall out of rhythm, when your blood sugar begins to swing all over the place, when your sleep becomes distorted, when inflammation begins to rise, when detox begins to slow, right? When your digestion starts to weaken. And this is the level that most practitioners and holistic practitioners will focus on, but it's not the root, you guys. It's absolutely not the root. Okay, so that's why we moved to level number 2. That's the nervous system breakdown. Okay, so you got the biological breakdown, then level 2 is like the nervous system breakdown. So this is where, like, chronic stress literally resets your baseline, where your body stops feeling safe, where the amygdala starts overfiring and you're always like, ah, where the prefrontal cortex is under fire, where your vagus nerve actually begins to downshift, right? This is where anxiety, irritability, overwhelm, and shutdown begins. Okay. And then there's the 3rd level. So level 3 is that actual bioenergetic breakdown. And this, honestly, ladies, this is the real driver of the crash, because mitochondria begins to drop in its voltage. Your cells stop communicating properly. And then the energy pathways literally begin to close, meridians get distorted, trauma patterns lock into our physiology. And then your entire system goes from coherent to, like, total disarray, totally incoherent. So this is why your body then will no longer respond to all the effort that you're putting in. So the problem is not that your body is stubborn, it's that it's miscommunicating. And so even when energy becomes incoherent, biology becomes chaotic. Okay, I'll say that again. When your energy becomes incoherent, your biology becomes chaotic, you guys. And when your biology becomes chaotic, then your mind becomes reactive. And then this is kind of where the real midlife crash begins. It's not menopause, it's not aging, it's not laziness, it's not your personality. It's not a lack of willpower. It's that breakdown in communication. And once you see it, it's almost like the solution becomes obvious. And as human beings, we need to be on the lookout for it all the time, because sometimes in this day and age, we kind of fall off a little bit and don't even realize what's happening until we're so stuck in this incoherent state. So let's break some things down, okay? Like the biological symptoms that you're feeling, the hidden nervous system patterns that maybe you didn't recognize, the bioenergetic collapse that underpins it all. this is where the dots actually get connected. And this is where confusion begins to dissolve and where you stop blaming yourself. And this truly, when we stop doing those things, it's when true healing begins. So now that we got the stage set, let's get into the truth that most women never hear, right? Your symptoms, ladies, they're not random, okay? It's not just hormonal chaos. They aren't signs that everything is falling apart, that you're falling apart. They're signals, and we have a chance to listen to the signals, okay? Because the signals are actually perfectly logical signals that your internal communication systems are actually losing that coherence. And when you understand this, the entire landscape of your health actually starts to make sense. So let's peel back the layers, okay? So let's start with the number one, the biological breakdown that we talked about. And we're starting here because I think this is where most women feel the symptoms first. Okay. It's like, cortisol begins firing out of rhythm. So you wake up tired. You get maybe your first burst of energy at around 8 p.m. when you want to go to sleep. Maybe you're exhausted at 3 p.m., but then you're wired when it comes to midnight. And this isn't just bad sleep. It's that disordered cortisol curve. And your biology, it really it wants to rise and fall like the sun. But chronic stress can actually begin to flatten that curve so you're not cycling through cortisol the way that your body intended to. So then your energy becomes unpredictable. Your metabolism begins to slow down. Your mood becomes much more fragile. And I think for a lot of people, they begin to feel like they can't actually trust their own body. But I mean, here's the important insight. The truth is, cortisol doesn't misfire on its own. It misfires because the nervous system is overreacting and the energy field becomes unstable. Okay, this is where layer 3 actually begins to show up through this layer 1 here. So number two, another piece of it is blood sugar. So when your biology starts to go astray, your blood sugar starts swinging a lot more violently. So you may find that you're getting cravings, you're having anxiety, you're having those afternoon crashes. Maybe you're getting really irritable, or you're having stubborn belly fat, or disrupted sleep, or hot flashes. Okay, hot flashes are a part of that. Maybe inflammation. So when your blood sugar is unstable, the entire hormonal orchestra kind of falls out of tune. It sounds like a junior high school orchestra instead of a symphony orchestra. But blood sugar instability is not a discipline problem, you guys. It's not about willpower. It's not about sugar addiction. It's about this. When your cells lose their voltage, your mitochondria then can't regulate the energy production. So your blood sugar actually becomes erratic. So yeah, of course, sugar addiction and all of that can have an impact. Okay. But it's really that mitochondrial dysfunction that's playing a role. And this, again, actually is an energetic problem before it becomes a metabolic one. So, number 3 for our biology, you guys, is hormones, right? Hormones, when we're out of sync, will begin to lose their rhythm. So, not necessarily their levels, but their timing. Okay, so most docs will, check hormone levels, but what matters is not just the hormone levels, it's the synchrony of the hormones. So, cortisol with melatonin, insulin with estrogen, progesterone with GABA, DHEA with mitochondrial function, thyroid with cellular absorption. So when these rhythms fall out of coherence, that's when you're going to get, again, the mood swings, the weight gain, the irritability, the insomnia, the anxiety, the decreased resilience, low libido, irregular cycles, perimenopause symptoms, hot flashes, cognitive dullness, right? Brain fog. And again, this is not aging. It's actually biological dysrhythmia that's caused by deeper breakdowns in the system. Okay. And then of course, another piece that happens here in this biological phase is your digestion, right? Digestion can slow down and then become reactive. I know a lot of women tell me, I eat clean, but I'm constantly bloated. Or they'll say, I can't tolerate the foods that I used to be able to tolerate, the foods I used to love, or everything feels so heavy. So digestion is literally the first system the body will downregulate when it senses a threat. Okay. So, and it makes sense, right? Does that digestion is not essential to your immediate survival. So when there is a threat, right? When that vagus nerve begins to shut down, digestion will begin to weaken. Okay. It's worried about the immediate stressor that's in the environment, not whether you're still going to be here 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or however many days in the future. So if you're chronically stressed out or your nervous system is chronically dysregulated, your digestion will always react, always. And not because your gut is weak, but because your body doesn't feel safe enough to activate optimal digestion. So this is why like probiotics and enzymes and even food elimination won't fix that core issue, right? That regulation needs to come first. And then, of course, you guys, number 5 in the biological piece is inflammation. And what happens is inflammation slowly begins to rise silently over time. You might not see it, but you feel it, right? You feel puffy, you feel stiff, you have headaches, you have fatigue, you have weight that won't budge, or brain fogs, or your joints are aching, or you're retaining water. Inflammation, again, is not the cause by itself. It's kind of like the alarm bell that's going off that there's a problem. So the question that we need to ask ourselves is, what actually triggered the alarm? And this takes us deeper because, so layer 1 biology, right? It's never the origin by itself. It is the response. Okay. So we've got to go to layer 2. Again, what I said before was that's your nervous system breakdown. So if your biology is the hardware, right? Consider it the hardware of your computer. The nervous system is actually the operating system. And when the operating system starts to glitch, then nothing in the body begins to run smoothly. So here's the truth. Most midlife women, they're living chaotic, right? Sympathetic, you know, activation. It's chronic. It's really chronic. And it's not because you're weak, it's not because you're unmotivated, but it's because we've been living in unprocessed stress literally for decades. Women will often carry invisible emotional labor, right? Responsibility for everyone else, unresolved traumas, early patterning from childhood, perfectionism, guilt patterns like hypervigilance, where you're always like, oh my God, what about that? Oh my gosh, what about that? Right? Self-sacrifice loops. How many of you can relate to that, right? Doing everything for everybody else, not saying no when you should say no. Fear of letting others down is another big one. In that internal pressure to feel like you always have to perform. And this really creates a nervous system that then is constantly like scanning for threats and never truly relaxed. And when the nervous system stays in this threat mode, then guess what? The body can't digest, it can't rest, it can't detox, it can't repair, it can't regulate hormones, it can't restore energy, it can't lose weight, it can't sleep, because those are all parasympathetic functions, right? Relaxed functions. So if your nervous system is over here and it's like, feeling unsafe all the time, your biology, it can't heal. So, but the biggest problem, you guys, most people don't recognize that the nervous system is dysregulated because it's actually become their normal, right? Their baseline. They don't feel stressed anymore, even though they're really stressed. They feel responsible. They feel busy. They feel wired. They feel like they need to keep on going. But physiologically, their nervous system is in the loop, right? micro freeze, micro fawn, chronic tension, sympathetic activation, adrenals like going crazy and having to compensate, suppressing emotions, right? Emotional suppression. And this is why perimenopause hits women so hard. Not because hormones are dropping, but because the nervous system is already dysregulated. And when hormones shift, the nervous system, it can no longer compensate if it's in this space. And this is where the real crash happens. Okay. So let's go to layer number 3, which is the bioenergetic breakdown, because now we're entering the real layer that, this is the real root, the part that medicine doesn't really measure. It's the part that most practitioners miss entirely. But layer 3 right here is really where the real problem begins. So this is the part that your labs doesn't measure, that your doctor doesn't examine, that most practitioners aren't even trained to recognize. In my practice at South Bay Wellness, it is one of the most pivotal things, because once this layer breaks, once your bioenergetic layer breaks down, everything else begins to collapse. So bioenergetic breakdown means, your cells, they lose their voltage. Your mitochondria, they stop talking to one another. The meridians, they become blocked or distorted. Scar tissue creates interference fields. Emotional patterns begin to disrupt, like subtle energy. Trauma begins to disrupt that coherence, or organ systems in the body begin to fall out of resonance with one another. Maybe your detox pathways close, or hormones begin to lose their synchronicity. So your stress response, what happens? Your stress response like gets stuck, and then your body becomes energetically, your body goes offline. And this creates a cascade, right? Low voltage leads to poor cellular function, which leads to hormone dysregulation, which leads to a metabolic slowdown, which leads to nervous system hyperactive. And so we got fatigue, weight gain, anxiety, inflammation. And this is why women say, hey, I feel like something switched off inside of me. They're right. Something did, not permanently, not irreversibly, but energetically. And women, we're not taught to understand our bodies from this perspective. The world has really conditioned us to think about our bodies like machinery, right? Push harder, eat less, sleep more, exercise more, supplement more. But your body's not a machine. Your body is a communication system. And when the communication becomes incoherent, the entire system destabilizes. Okay. So let's put it in simple terms. So, number 1, your energy collapses first. So your voltage drops, your communication fails. Number 2, your nervous system has to compensate. So now your hypervigilance increases, your safety diminishes. And number 3, your biology needs to respond. So your hormones misfire, your digestion weakens, your inflammation rises. And the truth is, your symptoms are just the smoke, right? It's the smoke, it's not the fire. The bioenergetic breakdown is actually that fire. And this is why maybe you've not been able to solve this at strictly that biological level, because the root isn't biological, it's actually bioenergetic. So your body, it doesn't need more discipline. It doesn't need stricter routines. Your body doesn't need more sacrifice. What your body needs is coherence, alignment, safety, voltage, resonance, clear communication, right? This is really what your body actually needs. So I know what most people are thinking, right? Like, okay, I get it. I'm not crazy. My body isn't failing. There's something deeper happening, but what do I do about it? So let's talk about the part no one explains clearly. And this is, you guys, this is how to rebuild bioenergetic coherence in the real world with a real life, with real responsibilities, because life still has to happen. You don't need another wellness to-do list. You need a framework that actually works with your biology, your energy, your nervous system. And that's where our true wellness framework comes in. It's not a slogan, it's not a gimmick, it's not a protocol, but really it's a sequence, because healing does require order. And when the order is wrong, nothing sticks. When the order is right, everything actually begins to shift. So let's break it down into the 4 phases. So phase 1, so TRUE for true. Phase 1 is tune into your mind and body. And this is the entry point. Most people skip this step because they're conditioned to override, numb, self-sacrifice, or push through. But tuning in is not soft. It's forensic, it's diagnostic. It's the moment you stop fighting the symptoms and start to begin to interpret them. It's where you learn what your body has actually been whispering to you, or where your nervous system has been, what it's been compensating for, or what your energy has been trying to actually stabilize. And what your biology is protecting you from. Yes, every one of those symptoms is actually your biology protecting you. So women tend to think that their body is malfunctioning. No, your body, it's actually talking. And we've never been taught to listen. So tuning in, it gives you back clarity, accuracy, intuition, connection, internal authority. And that's where we begin to come home to ourselves, right? And once we do that, we can move to phase 2, which is reconnecting and rebalancing. This is the recalibration stage. So this is where you stabilize those survival systems, because before you can detox or lose weight or reset hormones, your body must feel safe. It must feel nourished. It must feel grounded. It must feel like it's rhythmically supported. So this phase is about, your sleep integrity. Are you sleeping at least 6 or 7 hours a night? Are you in bed between like 10 and 6? Okay. What's your circadian rhythm? Are you paying attention to your circadian rhythm? Is your blood sugar stable? How is your digestion? Are you reducing your stress? Is your nervous system downshifting? And this is where we begin turning off the inflammatory triggers and actually giving your biology predictability. And I know people always think, well, there needs to be more to do here. No, not at all. You need to do the right things in the right order. So reconnect and rebalance is really where you start feeling calmer, clearer, less inflamed, less reactive, more emotionally stable, more energized. This really is the phase that changes lives, it's still not the true root. That's the next part. That's phase 3. That's the U for uncover the root causes. And this is the point where most practitioners start, but it's why they also fail, because you cannot uncover the root causes when your cortisol is that curve that you're supposed to have when it's inverted, right? Or when your nervous system is dysregulated, or your digestion is shut down, or your body doesn't feel safe, right? So in this phase, after stabilization, you can finally start to see what's really going on underneath, right? Like the toxic load, like the hidden inflammation, the nutrient deficiencies, the mitochondria not working the way that they're supposed to, the hormones out of their rhythm, energetically blocked organs, or scar interference fields, or emotional root patterns, unresolved stress patterns. This is where the truth comes out. And this is where the body reveals what's actually been driving the exhaustion, the waking, the anxiety, the inflammation, the brain fog. And when we identify the real roots, you can actually stop chasing your symptoms, right? For our clients in our practice, like the symptoms disappear for the first time in years. And this is where like they say like, "Oh my gosh, I finally understand what's happening to my body." Okay? So that's phase 3, TRU. The next one is E, phase 4, and this is where we empower your mindset and embrace your whole self. I mean, for me in my practice, I always say we're just different. Dr. D is different. Why? Because we recognize that unless we address the mindset stuff, we don't get very far, and we certainly don't get far for very long if we do get further. Okay, because this is where coherence needs to become your new baseline, because there's no amount of biology or energy repair that will actually hold if your mindset is sabotaging your internal environment, right? It's y'all know the little gremlin voice, right? Yeah, that one. So women in this phase really learn that it's time to stop waging war against their body. They learn how to build emotional resilience, how to regulate stress from within, how to set boundaries without feeling guilty, how to dismantle the all or nothing patterns, or how to align their identity with who they are truly becoming. One of the biggest places we work on this in my practice at Self Pay Wellness is through our retreats and such, where we spend intensive time working on these things. You see, this phase is where women stop being reactive and actually start being self led. This is where that bioenergetic coherence actually becomes stable, predictable, self sustaining. And it's the phase where people really rise, because coherence is personal power. And, you know, here's why it works where nothing else has. It's like everything that has failed you in the past failed for one reason. Okay. It tried to fix your biology without addressing your energy and your nervous system. So you can't supplement your way out of incoherence. You can't diet your way out of a chronic sympathetic activation, right? If you're in that chronic stress, you cannot sleep hygiene your way out of a weak energy field. You cannot willpower your way out of mitochondrial suppression, right? Where your mitochondria is not firing the way you want it to. You can't meditate your way out of like hormone dysrhythmia. So you can only sequence your way out. You have to go through the sequence and in the right order. And this is what no one is teaching, right? Healing has a structure. It has a progression. It has a specific order. And when the order is right, everything becomes easier. Everything becomes easier. You don't have to force your health. You don't have to negotiate with your body. You don't have to fight yourself anymore. It's you simply restore that coherence. And when that coherence is restored, it's like, our clients, they're still amazed by it. And honestly, it still amazes me because it's beautiful. So when you have bioenergetic coherence, when it returns, people report, their energy feels clean, it feels steady. Their weight begins to release naturally without crazy calorie counting. They get more restorative sleep. They wake up and they feel better. They have clearer skin, better digestion, less inflammation, balanced mood, improved libido, sharper focus, less brain fog, more memory, more emotional bandwidth. So stress levels go down, less reactivity, and a sense of real like internal stability. It's the end of I don't feel like myself, right? The end of that feeling. You see, coherence, it's not a hack. I know everyone's looking for a hack. Give me a biohack, give me a biohack, but it doesn't work that way. Coherence is the state your body was always designed to be in. Okay. And midlife symptoms, it's not your body betraying me. It's actually your body saying, "Hey, pay attention to me." It's your body calling you back, right? Back into alignment, back into connection, back into coherence, back into relationship with yourself, right? Midlife it's not the collapse, it's actually the awakening. If you know how to interpret the signals, it can be your awakening. And now you do. We just talked about it for the last the last time here. So If this episode, you guys, if it hit home for you, if everything suddenly is like, oh my God, this makes sense, if you've finally felt seen and understood, validated, then I mean, your next step is simple because information without implementation it won't change your life. So I think all of you should go and download our True Wellness Checklist. It's easy, it's free. It's go.drdee.com/checklist. go.dree.com/checklist. It will show you exactly where your coherence is, what you need to do to actually bring it back biologically, emotionally, energetic, neurologically. It's not like a fluffy checklist. It's not like some generic handout. It's actually to help you clarify some of the exact things that you can do so that you stop wasting time on the wrong things, right? It's the first step out of confusion and back into coherence. So you guys, I just want to leave you with this today. You are not meant to feel exhausted. You are not meant to feel confused. You are not meant to feel disconnected from yourself. And your body is far more intelligent than you've ever been taught. And when you restore coherence, right? Your biology stabilizes, your energy returns, you feel good, your mind stays nice and clear, your resilience rises, your identity actually reforms, and your life opens. And you had to feel like yourself again, right? Not the older version of you, the truer version of you. Because you guys, coherence doesn't just heal your body. What coherence does is it actually restores you. This is Dr. D reminding you to tune into your body, connect with what matters, and embrace the journey to true wellness. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to redefine their health. Be sure to grab a copy of the True Wellness Checklist right in the show notes. Let's keep redefining wellness and empowering change together. See you for the next episode.